In today's video, I'm diving into the top 10 phrases you'll hear from someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism. Let's dive in. Hey friends, Tamie M. Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comments section below. And if you're back, welcome back. Thanks for showing up and for tuning in. Either way, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. So let's talk about the top 10 things that people with a destructive narcissist personality pattern tend to say. Number 1. I've never met anyone like you before. Now, this is the kind of thing that a narcissist will say to you in the early stages of a relationship, otherwise known as the idealization phase, when they're quite literally love bombing you. And they do this in an attempt to get you hooked and fast. And of course, there can be times when we meet someone and feel a deep connection right away. But in most cases, real healthy connection is something that actually takes time to develop. So certainly it's possible that you'll meet someone who immediately feels a genuine sense of admiration and respect for you and wants to express that. But that's not what's going on when a narcissist prematurely declares their intense feelings or undying love for you. The narcissist doesn't actually have a genuine sense of admiration or respect for anyone. Rather, the narcissist only sees the reflected projection of their false persona initially, which quickly transitions to the reflected projection of their disowned shadow. And that's when things start going sideways. So it's important to know that I've never met anyone like you will not only be short-lived, it can actually be translated as you've never met anyone like me, and you better not forget it. In order for the narcissist to hook you as a captive audience and a reliable source of narcissistic supply, you'll likely hear the words "I love you" very quickly. And the bottom line is this: premature declarations of intense feelings, or love for that matter, and moving way too quickly in the early stages of a relationship, any relationship, are big red flags. So don't be flattered by any of this, especially if you have a history of attracting empathy impaired and highly manipulative partners. You'll want to pace yourself and take your time getting to know who you're dealing with before you allow yourself to be swept up in what could end in utter disaster with a full-blown imposter and wolf in sheep's clothing. Narcissistic phrase number 2, you're so insecure. When you start paying attention to your gut instincts and all the things you're observing that just don't seem to add up, all the holes in all their stories, as well as the rationalization and justification nonsense they use in an attempt to distract from the real issue and deflect attention and responsibility away from themselves, suddenly the issue will have to be that you're so insecure. Otherwise, who or what might actually be the issue, right? So they shift the blame, deflect and project all of their own issues, insecurity, and feelings of inadequacy onto you in an attempt to avoid having the light of truth shone on who they actually are and what they've been up to. No matter what has gone on, they'll make the situation all about you and you're being so insecure, as opposed to facing and dealing with the real issue at hand. And the truth is, honest, sincere, genuine people don't need to scapegoat you by playing these emotionally abusive and sick psychological games. But for a narcissist, there's no other way. The survival of their false persona depends on you and your so-called insecurities being the problem. And along these lines, you'll also hear phrases like, "You always make such a big deal out of nothing," or "I can't believe you think this," or "believe that I did that." And another thing you'll often hear is, "That's in the past. How long are you going to stay bitter? Get over it already." And they do this with deliberate intent to destabilize you and cause you to doubt yourself. And this is especially true if you're an empath, because you'll have a natural tendency to go within and question yourself, as well as your own behavior and motives. Since you would never deliberately deflect responsibility, blame, shame, and project onto another human being in this fashion, you naturally assume that the person you're dealing with wouldn't either. But if you're dealing with someone with a destructive narcissist personality pattern, you couldn't be more wrong. Everything is about them, except, of course, their mistakes, shortcomings, and their damaging and destructive behavior. That, according to them, has to be all about you. Like it or not, deep down, narcissists are malicious and operate from a fundamental place of malevolent intent. They rather enjoy intentionally shaking your sense of security until you are entirely dependent on their version of reality as if it's the gospel truth. They enjoy causing you to question yourself and your perception of reality. They want you to doubt yourself and what you know is true. And if they can get you to believe their distorted version, bullseye, they've got you. And this, my friends, is how the narcissist works to gaslight you. And if you want to learn more about gaslighting and how that works, you can watch this video here. Number 4 of the top 10 phrases narcissists will say to you: you are too sensitive. Now, this, of course, follows suit with the previous phrases you'll hear from a narcissist, and you may even be noticing a pattern here. The underlying theme is this: the fault and the blame and the responsibility and the issue will always and forever be you. You're the issue. You're so sensitive. You're so emotional. You're such a drama queen or king. And of course, you're overreacting again. Narcissistic people will not, under any circumstances, own up to or accept responsibility for their appalling attitudes and behavior. Unless, of course, you've had enough and they're in real jeopardy of losing what they know full well is a good thing. In that case, they may temporarily pay lip service if it serves to manipulate you and suck you back into the dysfunctional dynamic. Only then might they be willing to say just enough to manipulate their way back into your good graces. They'll say the bare minimum in terms of owning up to any pain or discomfort they may have caused you or others. Barring their being in jeopardy of losing you, for real, and they don't have another source of supply already lined up, and assuming they're feeling pretty confident and comfortable in the relationship, then you can count on the fact that they will always say whatever it takes, no matter how untrue, cruel, or bizarre, to get you to believe you're at fault because you are too something. You're too insecure, too needy, you're too much of this or too much of that. You're the issue because you have issues, and therefore it follows that you're to blame. In addition, they'll feel entitled to target and put you down publicly, and possibly even go so far as to try to humiliate you in front of others, and then have the audacity to tell you that you can't take a joke or you're just too sensitive. That's the real problem. Then they'll do everything possible to rationalize, justify, minimize, and make excuses for their harmful behavior. They'll cut you, rub salt in the wound, and then ridicule you for having a feeling about it. Then they'll send you down the crazy-making rabbit hole of, what are you even talking about? What's wrong with you? If you let them. Don't let them. Narcissistic phrase number 5. It's your fault. So, when a relatively healthy and empathic person has a legitimate reaction to the pain the narcissist inflicts, whether it be one big shocking attempt to gaslight you or some colossal lie, for example, if they've lied to you about something, either outright or by calculated omission, any lie, big or small, and the discovery of that lie naturally has a negative impact on your relationship, no matter what has gone on, it will be all your fault. According to them, you'll be to blame for, if nothing else, not being able to handle the truth. And this, of course, will be because you have issues. Crazy-making, soul-destroying stuff, but this is the reality when dealing with narcissistic people. It doesn't have to make logical, rational sense. As long as they can sidestep responsibility, they're good. And here's what's true. No matter what they say to you, no matter how they spin, twist, and distort reality or rewrite history to suit their own needs, you, my friend, are not responsible for the shitty way they show up in your relationship. Nor are you responsible for the shitty way they show up in the world. You are not now, nor have you ever been responsible for another person's choice, actions, behavior, or attitude towards you or anyone else. No matter what they say, you're responsible for you, period. Now comment below and let me know whether or not you've been on the receiving end of any of these phrases. And if so, how'd you handle it? How'd that go for you? And also, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class, there is a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Narcissistic phrase number 6. No wonder nobody likes you. Vicious criticism disguised as, I'm only telling you the truth for your own good, or everyone thinks this, feels that, or says such and such about you, is simply an abusive tactic the narcissist uses to manipulate, dominate, and control you. It's called gathering the troops. Because their flimsy narrative is typically based on manufactured and imagined falsehoods, they can't stand on the firm foundation of their own opinion. They have to bring others into the equation in order to prop up their distorted perception of you and reality, no matter how much they have to lie to do so. And the truth is, they may very well have their toxic enablers and spineless little devotees fully brainwashed and convinced of all of your shortcomings through a steady stream of toxic gossip and outright lying about you behind your back, making false claims and building the case as to why you're so terrible and not at all a good, kind, decent, or even likable person. So this may feel true, especially if you have a history of being targeted as the family scapegoat for any length of time. But here's what else is true. Narcissists are master manipulators. They lie with tremendous ease. And anyone who chooses to believe the narcissist's distortive narrative of you, without even giving you so much as the benefit of the doubt, never mind the benefit of a conversation, is not on your team. Let them go and go find your tribe. Find people who actually carry enough good of their own to be able to see it in you. The narcissist and their toxic little circle, they're not your people. When narcissists cannot control you, they'll work overtime to control how others see you. They're infamous for running the elaborate smear campaign on their chosen target, which is anyone who is a threat, by the way. And they'll do this so they can justify their own appalling behavior, as well as have you isolated and ostracized. This behavior is very telling and a major red flag. Again, relatively healthy people don't play these games. When someone cannot stand on the truth of their own opinion without feeling the need to run around town and gather the troops like children on a playground, it's a lot of information about who and what you're dealing with. You can't control their narrative, but you can control the degree to which you continue to engage with and or give them ammunition to use against you. When they haven't had access to you for any length of time, they'll have to make up stories, and let them. The truth has a funny way of exposing itself given time. You just do you, boo, and let the truth take care of itself. It always does. It's just a matter of time. Narcissistic phrase number 7. I didn't say that. It should be clear by now that a narcissist is running their own agenda. And that agenda includes keeping you in a state of confusion, fear, and insecurity, while keeping themselves in a perceived position of superiority. And in order to do so, they'll go out of their way to knock you off balance and keep you there by saying things and then fully denying they ever said the thing. And when confronted with the facts, including any black or white evidence you might have in your possession, narcissistic people will often maintain that they didn't say that. They'll try to convince you they didn't say what they know full well they said and you heard. Or, when left with no alternative, you took it wrong. They didn't mean it that way. And of course, you misunderstood and are getting it all wrong again. And the truth is, covert narcissists play this mind game a lot. And if you want to learn more about covert narcissism, you can watch this video here. Number 8, what do you want from me? This is a phrase often used by someone who is pretending to feel victimized. And the narcissist will pretend to feel victimized anytime someone else has a legitimate want, need, or desire that requires setting a limit or a boundary. In other words, the fact that you have wants, needs, desires of your own, that you have reasonable limits and boundaries, well, this will be an issue for the narcissist, guaranteed. every time. How dare you expect them to show up when they say they will, do what they said they would when they said they'd do it? How dare you expect them to say what they mean and mean what they say? Who do you think you are? This too, of course, will be all your fault. Remember, blame shifting, deflecting, justifying, rationalizing, and projecting are standard operating procedure for narcissistic people. And this boils down to the fact that they are fully, fundamentally, and constitutionally incapable of accepting and owning responsibility for themselves, their choices, their attitudes, and the consequences of their behavior. Number 9. Don't let it go to your head. In the case of any potential success in your life, the narcissist will have to throw shade on it. Sure, they may temporarily pretend that they're happy for you, especially if others are watching. But don't kid yourself. Deep down, they're not at all happy for you. In reality, it's far more likely that any good thing that you've got going on will trigger their pathological envy. So no matter what they say, sad as this may be, you can be sure they're not exactly celebrating you, any success you've worked hard for and earned, nor any good fortune you've attracted into your life. Unless it serves them somehow, narcissistic people are rarely for you and will typically be against you and what you're working so hard to accomplish. The thing with narcissists is this: if you win at anything in life, you'll likely outshine them, and they cannot abide even the possibility of you outshining them at all in any way, big or small. So secretly, they actually want you to fail. They want, and quite frankly, need you to be less than, if only in their own mind, because you being less is what keeps them comfortable. At their core, they carry deep feelings of shame and inferiority, and they'll project this deeply buried shame and very real sense of inferiority onto you in an attempt to prop themselves up with a false sense of superiority. So don't be fooled by the phony facade. In spite of outward appearances, they feel inadequate, and they are green with envy. This is why they find ways to diminish, thwart, and even sabotage any progress you're making. They'll even go so far as to say something like, "You'd be nothing if it weren't for me." They actually want to take credit for your hard work, your gifts, your talent, your effort, and accomplishments. Can you imagine being so emotionally and psychologically sick as to actually think, never mind come right out and say, that another human being would be nothing if it weren't for you? Imagine going through life with this kind of toxic, delusional mindset. It's nuts. But this is what it is when we're dealing with narcissists. Last but not least, number 10, you're so damaged. A narcissist will manipulate you into believing that you're safe with them, so you share your heart and your history, only to then use your disclosures as ammunition against you. It feeds their sick little ego to hone in on your history because it takes the focus off of their present. They want you to believe that you're damaged goods, not whole, unworthy, because you're less likely to leave if you're buying the nonsense. If they can keep you believing the lie that you're not good enough and sell you on the notion of just how fortunate you are to have them in your life, how grateful you should be that they pay any attention to you at all, they've got you where they want you. You're a reliable source of narcissistic supply, and that works for them. The problem with this, and the reason this works at all ever, is that anyone who has suffered this type of emotional and psychological abuse for any length of time may actually come to see the narcissist as a higher power in their lives. When we put another human being on a pedestal and see them as above ourselves, we are quite literally making them a higher power. And highly empathic, untreated codependents, especially those with a history of being cast as the family scapegoat, will do this with family members as well as friends, bosses, and romantic partners. If you believe that the narcissist is a power greater than yourself with more value and therefore authority over you, your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and decisions, if you've fallen for the illusion that the narcissist is the bearer of truth and that you are so unworthy and that you should be grateful to receive anything from anyone ever, you're in big trouble. First of all, never make another human being higher power in your life. If you've done this, don't be hard on yourself. It's a side effect of long-term exposure to emotional manipulation and narcissistic abuse. And you can heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, but it's up to you to make the choice and actually do the work. Regardless, if you're looking at anyone in your life as a higher power, you've got work to do. Give yourself the gift. My friends, I hope you got some value out of this today. If you liked what you heard, be sure to drop a like and a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. If you're new to my channel, once again, a very special welcome. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. And once again, if you're interested in learning more about the possibility of working with me in my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class, there are links in the description below, one of which gives you the ability to apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. And as always, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Mwah. Much love. Bye for now.